Alright everyone, it's Monday and we're into a brand new week, and it's a new week that will bring UEFA Champions League football back at Celtic Park. It's a pretty big, tasty week, and we can look ahead to what's to come, but also look back at Saturday's, let's call it a routine 2-0 victory over Hearts. I was delighted to be joined by Rizzo on Saturday's post-match reaction, so you can check that video out for some insightful takes from both of us. Thanks very much in advance for doing that. And yeah, I thought it was job done on Saturday. There were positives in the performance. There were what you would maybe call negatives as well. I always think these post-international break matches can be a little bit difficult, even if the result maybe on paper looks good. And I think, in, a number of weeks' time, a number of months' time, when you look back at that Celtic 2 Hearts now, you'll go, yeah, that was absolutely fine. That was a good afternoon. Maybe the reality at the time for these post-international break matches can be a little bit different, and they can be or feel a little bit like a slog at times. And just for a bit of a context, I look back at the four we had last season after our international breaks. So we beat Dundee 3-0, we beat Hearts 4-1 at Tynecastle, we beat Livingston 3-0 in March, and we also drew 1-1 with Motherwell. Those were the games that we came back to after international breaks last season. And again, I think, you look at obviously the three wins and they look like good results on paper, but looking back, I remember that Dundee 3-0 win being a bit of a slog and probably a little bit similar to Saturday. It was 0-0 at half-time. The Livingston away one was 0-0 at half-time, little bit of a slog as well. Obviously the Motherwell draw was certainly like that. So yeah, the point I'm making is I think these games after the international break can always just be tricky for the team. Players have been away, some of them at the other side of the world. Training has been a bit stop-start, I guess. The momentum's been interrupted a little bit. So I think all things considered, and by the way, that is something Brendan Rodgers said, I think his first answer that he gave to Celtic TV when asked for the summary of his game, he mentioned the fact it was the first game back. I think it was absolutely fine. I thought there were positives in what we did at the weekend. The goal scorers would be the obvious place to start. Arne Engels scoring on his first start for the club. Luke McCowan scoring so early into his Celtic career as well. Both of those guys looked really good. Obviously, we saw far more of Arne Engels, and I thought he looked good on and off the ball. The encouraging thing for me is he was making runs and really switched on to the Brendan Rodgers way of doing things, which I guess wouldn't be a given given that we just signed him recently, but he seemed really tuned into what we were trying to do. It's very clear that Brendan Rodgers wants to turn him into a Matt O'Reilly type player, and I think there were bits of his performance on Saturday that looked like Matt O'Reilly as well. I mean, that kind of quick shot that he had in the first half that he rattled off the post, that was very Matt O'Reilly, like I thought, and the fact he stood up and took a penalty under pressure so coolly, it was very Matt O'Reilly like as well. He's going to be his own player, as much as I say that. He's going to be his own player, but I thought there were really promising signs from him. Luke McCowan coming on and scoring was great. I think just generally speaking about the subs and the fact that they came on and made such an impact in the game. I thought James Forrest looked lively. Paulo Bernardo, Adam Ida, did score, basically, and it was obviously chalked off. Not any of his fault for that. Luke McCowan scores his goal. The subs looked really lively, and I think that's a really good sign that going into all of these matches and different competitions, and Brendan Rodgers has been very open about the fact we're going to need a squad rather than just a team for this or for the rest of the season, basically, but specifically the next few months with the Champions League games. I think going into that is very encouraging that the players on the fringes seem very keen to come in, and even if they're only playing 15-20 minutes at the end of a match, they're doing their utmost to try and impact the game and provide as much as they possibly can. So yeah, that was massively positive. I think the defence looks really good. Obviously, we've equaled this incredibly long-held record that we can and will touch on later on in the video. But generally speaking, Greg Taylor I thought had a really good game. I think the centre-backs look good. Cameron Carter-Vickers, Liam Scales. We'll see what Austin Trusty has to offer, I'm sure. I think he'll probably start against Falkirk at the weekend. That seems like an obvious place for him to come in. But I think for midweek, you would certainly stick with Carter-Vickers and Scales. And obviously, Kasper Schmeichel looks really good as well. A little bit of work to do at the weekend. A few shots, saves for the camera that he made, but he held on pretty well. And another clean sheet for him. So the defence has given me a lot of confidence at the moment, even though we're obviously going to go into far bigger tests starting on Wednesday night. The guy I just left out of the defence just based on Saturday, I thought Alistair Johnson was probably our poorest performer against Hearts. And listen, he's been fantastic all season. I just wonder if it's linked to this kind of niggling hamstring issue, this tightness in his hamstring that he has at the moment, that Brendan Rodgers said he's had for a few weeks now. He was feeling it in the lead up to the derby and obviously played so well that day. But I just wonder if maybe his performance not being at the level that it has been so far this season on Saturday was linked to that. It'll be interesting to see if he starts on Wednesday night. I guess he probably will. But he's going to need to show a better level of performance. But, Alistair Johnson's probably been our standout player so far this season, so no real issue there. Reo Hatate probably wasn't great on Saturday. I think there's a comment we'll come on to about him. And Kyogo maybe isn't fully firing at the moment. I think one competitive goal so far this season. And I think he's played 5 of the 6 matches, not started them all. But that's obviously not the Kyogo levels that we know. But I don't necessarily think he's having a terrible time or anything. He's still looking lively. And yeah, we beat Hearts 2-0, and it's probably worth remembering that. I think there's just a sense, certainly for me, that we've got this huge game coming up on Wednesday night and such a massive opportunity for the team to go out and get an early 3 points. It's a game we really should be going out and winning, and you just know, I think, that the team have to up their performance level from Saturday because it's going to be a tougher challenge against Slovan Bratislava than it was against Hearts. But I think we're more than capable of doing that. Right, some of your comments. We'll start with Gaz Boy. Hatate needs dropped, simple as that. For some reason, fans blinded by him. He's very average, gets caught in possession. Think his attitude is very poor, and he's been very poor of late. Drop him, Bernardo, way better. I think, Hatate wasn't our best performer on Saturday. I didn't think he had a particularly good game. I think he's maybe struggling a bit with consistency at the moment, both in terms of him having like one standout game like St Mirren away. I remember him being outstanding that day, and then maybe not being able to back it up the next week, but also like in terms of just games themselves, he does like really good things, really good bits of play, and then a few minutes later he'll give a slack pass away. Now part of that may just be what Reo Hatate is, and he's going to try things and give it away. But I think there is a feeling that Hatate can be doing more at this point. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not something I'm massively concerned about. He would still 100% be in my team for Wednesday night. It's obviously a tricky one for Brendan Rodgers or anyone to weigh up at the moment because we have such good options in midfield. We've got 4 players who, could all conceivably start the game on Wednesday. I would want Hatate in there. I just have a feeling that Wednesday night, that big stage, Champions League lights against a team who, I don't know, we'll need to find out more, and we will before the game, but I think they'll probably come in and be compact and difficult to break down, and I think someone like Hatate could be really important in terms of finding those passes. So he would definitely be in my team for Wednesday. I would actually have Engels beside him, and obviously Callum McGregor as well. I know that's probably incredibly harsh on Paulo Bernardo, who was like our outstanding player in the derby, but Bernardo would still come on for me and play at least half an hour, and he'd probably start against Falkirk on Sunday. So I would, just based off the way Engels played on Saturday, I would start him, and I would have Hatate in there next to him. I think there's actually a fair chance Rodgers might go for Bernardo, and that may have been the reason he didn't start the game on Saturday. I would not be surprised or bothered by that at all. I love Paulo Bernardo. But I would go with Hatate, Engels, McGregor personally. But it's a good issue to have. I certainly don't think there's any need for panic over Reo Hatate. Right, user something. Pretty blah performance. Passing at times was atrocious. AJ looked as if he had developed colour blindness as he constantly found a maroon shirt with the ball. Hatate was off it as well. Thought Engels was excellent and looked classy. Kyogo was poor. Pity Ida goal was chopped off. It would have done him good. Overall, a decent win after international week. Roll on Wednesday night. Yeah, I think decent win after international week kind of sums up Saturday for me. I did think that Johnson was our poorest performer on the day. It's just going to be interesting to see what Brendan Rodgers does for Wednesday night. I think if Johnson does genuinely have an issue there, I'd be looking to get Anthony Ralston in. I think Ralston would be absolutely fine on Wednesday night. Who knows, like Johnson's performance, it might have just been an off day for him. It might not be linked to this tightness in his hamstring he's got. But just when you hear Brendan Rodgers on Friday openly saying that, he's had a bit of a kind of tightness in his hamstring in recent weeks before the derby while he was away on international duty, and then he does underperform. I mean, I thought he gave the ball away a lot on Saturday. You do kind of obviously put the two together, and I do wonder if Anthony Ralston coming in on Wednesday might be a good thing, just to give Johnson a wee bit more time just to fully get over this. It's going to be one to keep an eye on for sure. Right, William Hislop. Truth is, last season we would have lost a late goal and drawn the match. We weren't great, but job done. Can't be spectacular every game, but these are the games that win you a title. Yeah, I'm firmly of the belief that, and I haven't done this, but if you watch the game back, and especially the second half with the benefit of knowing the score, I think you'd be a lot calmer about watching it. And to be fair, even at the time, it wasn't one of those games that I was like really struggling to watch and incredibly, overcome by nerves just because Hearts were absolutely battering the door down to try and get an equaliser. It wasn't like that at all. They had one big chance, and even then it's kind of like, is it even like a big chance? It's kind of like a half chance type thing. The guy just doesn't quite get the purchase on the ball. You compare that to what we did, and we missed a number of chances. Again, that was something Brendan Rodgers touched on after the game, but yeah, I mean, Kyogo misses the really good chance early on in the game where he just has to go round Craig Gordon. Engels hits the post. Engels had another one after he scored where he kind of tried to flick it in. There was one right before half time with, was it Kyogo and Kuhn, I think, and Hart somehow kind of block it on the line. Ida's disallowed goal, there's not much in that. So we did create chances. I thought it was a relatively straightforward victory, but when it's 1-0 you're always going to be concerned, especially when last season we had a number of those games. The difference was that the late goal would have gone to the opposition last season, whereas this season it's us that are getting the late goal. So all good. Right, we've got Smallies, Kyogo not filling me with confidence right now. Kuhn and Dyson aren't scorers, so where do the UCL goals come from? Now I must say, I've already tackled the Kyogo stuff, and he scored one goal so far in 5 games. He's missing chance. I don't think he's playing badly at all. He's getting into good areas. Just for whatever reason, it's not quite coming off for him. But would you really write Kyogo off from scoring a double on Wednesday night? Would you be massively surprised if he did that? It doesn't feel to me like Kyogo's someone who's really struggling for confidence. I just think he's not quite getting the rewards for the effort he's putting in. But no real concerns there. And to be honest, no real concerns about the goals or lack of goals in the team. 17 goals we've scored in 6 competitive matches so far this season. So yeah, goals aren't anything goals aren't something that I'm really concerned about. I think maybe what you would say this season, looking at the team and the spread of goals, there's not really been an outstanding goal scorer other than Callum McGregor. The goals have been pretty spread out. Like midfield, there's been a lot of goals coming from midfield. Obviously, as I say, McGregor scored. Our 2 goals on Saturday were both midfielders. Hatate scored at least once. Bernardo, when he's played, he's looked like he was going to score as well. So maybe we've just not had like an outstanding forward scoring all our goals, and maybe that just kind of leads people to look and think, oh, maybe their goals are drying up a little bit, or maybe once the midfielders stop chipping in, we'll really be struggling. I'm not concerned about that at all. I think even you look at Maida and Kuhn, and they've chipped in with goals this season. So, yeah, goals aren't a worry for me, to be honest. Andrew Heaney, best start to a season since 1906. Another 3 points in the bank. Another clean sheet for Casper. Massive European night to look forward to. So far, so good. Yeah, Andrew's referring to the fact that Kasper Schmeichel has now kept 5 league clean sheets at the start of the season. The last time a Celtic side managed that was in 1906. So yeah, it's a hell of a record, and obviously we're going to be going for the record now. St Johnstone, I think, is our next league game, and you would probably back us to keep a clean sheet in that game as well. So yeah, the team are confident, they're feeling good, and it was another enjoyable afternoon at Celtic Park. One final thing that I loved from Saturday was the footage that you'll no doubt have seen going around of a couple of Hearts players, Lauren Shankland and Craig Halkett, both trying to get into the head of Arne Engels just as he's about to take his penalty kick. And it was a really big moment for Engels, stepping up, taking that penalty, scoring it so coolly. And I don't know if you could hear Shankland and Halkett in his ear at the edge of the box. I don't know if he would even understand what 10 million I right means, Craig Halkett. He probably would understand what big pressure means, which is what Shankland was shouting at them, but he didn't show any nerves or any signs of the pressure at all, and I just really enjoyed that clip. And I enjoyed seeing the reaction on the actual kind of highlight footage when he sent Craig Gordon the wrong way. So Arne Engels, great stuff. As I say, I just feel like he's going to be confident now. I would start him on Wednesday night. That's what I would do. And we're on to Wednesday now. It's Slovan Bratislava who visit Celtic Park. They beat DAC 1904. Anyway, Slovan came from behind to go 2-1 up against them, scoring the eventual winner in the 89th minute. DAC then missed a 100th minute penalty in that game. By the way, DAC are the side that we signed Vakun Bio from a number of years ago. So it's funny how you always see some sort of Celtic link there. But yeah, Slovan, I don't know what that means for them. They're top of the Slovak league, having a pretty good season other than that 5-0 defeat they had at home to the second place team Zelina just before the international break. I just think it's a huge opportunity for Celtic on Wednesday night. We're going to be massive favourites for this game. I know there's always a tendency to look at it and to go, this is really going to be tough. It's Champions League, and they're going to be a good side. They've qualified for the tournament, but I maintain this is a game that we have to be winning. We have to go out and win this game. We should be doing that. We're capable of doing it. And as long as we don't get overcome by the fact we're playing in this different competition with all the bright lights and the anthem and all of that stuff, I think we'll be absolutely fine and we'll go out and win this game. I'm pretty confident we'll do that. And yeah, it's probably the most winnable game we've had at this level in 15 years or more. Aalborg was the last one I could think of, and we actually didn't win either of their games against them. I remember a 0-0 draw at Celtic Park when Barry Robson missed a penalty. So that's a reminder that we have to bring our A game. I think we have to play better than we did on Saturday, because Slovan Bratislava are clearly going to be a tougher test than Hearts. But yeah, I think with Celtic Park behind us, the atmosphere you're going to hear, and just the confidence the team have at the moment, and I think they've got a real desire, like us as fans, to really go and do something in this new Champions League format this year. I think we're going to be absolutely fine, and it would be amazing to just have 3 points banked after a single match. Yeah, we're going to be focusing on that match on tomorrow's video. Big time, looking forward to doing that. So please tune in for that one. Remember, we're still trying to get to 10,000 subscribers as well. Chat to you tomorrow.